The NHL is absolutely terrified of the Detroit Red Wings right now, as they're one of the hottest teams in the league. They're making a mid-season push. They have a new head coach, and in this video, we're going to break down exactly why this team will make the playoffs. But before we get into all of that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 71% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the NHL, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free after all, so no harm in doing that. But Casey, the Detroit Red Wings, off to a crazy little stretch here in the middle of the season, obviously firing Derek Lalonde, and they bring in Todd McLellan. Just some stats for you right off the bat. They've won 7 straight, obviously losing their first game with Todd McLellan. They've won 7 straight since then. This is their longest win streak for the franchise since January of 2012. They're 2 points shy of a wild card spot, so they've climbed all the way back, although, you know, the Eastern Conference is a bit of a weird conference this year. And again, 7-1-0 under their new head coach. So before we get into any stats on why I think personally they will make the playoffs, what are you thinking about this team so far? They've kind of surprised me here mid-season.
Yeah, it's prime Red Wings are back. I mean, when we were growing up, Darius, the Red Wings were the team to beat. And ever since, like you said, 2012, this is the best like win streak they've been on, and for rightfully so. I mean, this team is so dominant right now. They're like prime Goldberg for any WWE fans right now. They are steamrolling, spearing every opponent coming their way, and it doesn't seem like there's any sign of slowing down for this club. Every player is getting hot. We're seeing Dylan Larkin finally kind of get his game back. We're at the beginning of the season. He kind of did struggle a little bit, not a whole lot, but it wasn't the Dylan Larkin we're used to seeing. But now this guy is scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's just getting the job done for this team.
He absolutely is. And speaking of a couple players getting hot, if you look at the last 2 weeks in the NHL in terms of stats, Patrick Kane leading the league. Dylan Larkin not far behind there in 5th place, and Alex DeBrincat also on the list. So everyone is getting hot, seemingly at the right time. I know the start to the season wasn't at all what Red Wings fans would have liked. And obviously, you know, Dylan Larkin off to a slow start, like you alluded to as well. But he's come back in a big way. And NHL scoring since December 29th as well. Patrick Kane leads the way. Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat 1, 2, and 3 in the league. And obviously Dylan Larkin there in 6th place as well. So they've been, like you said, steamrolling everybody at this point. They're the hottest team in the league right now. I don't think they have any plans to stop. Everything seems to be rolling. They're playing great. We're headed towards the trade deadline as well. And we'll get to that later in the video. And that could be really interesting for this team. But Casey, they continue to roll. Derek Lalonde was let go too, and some fans are left wondering if he was even trying. We'll bleep out the swear there, but if some fans are even trying. But the trade deadline is right around the corner. It's coming faster than most fans think. And Casey, this team has gotten themselves back into the playoff picture. Could you see them potentially making a trade to, you know, become buyers at the trade deadline, because they're right here in the playoff race?
Yeah, I definitely could see this happening. I mean, there's lots of names floating around right now, big names like Elias Pettersson. We don't know what's happening in Boston with Marchand and the Pasternak situation. There is so much happening now that turmoil is going to start bubbling over all throughout the league, where players are saying, I want to win. I don't want to be on a losing team, that they're going to request trades. And who's going to be right there to sweep them up? Stevie Y, because I can see this guy with how much cap space that he has right now. I cannot see him going this trade deadline without making a huge splash. Like right now, they have $9 million in cap at the deadline. That is a lot of money to bring in a big name fish from the trade deadline. And I think Stevie Y now seeing that what a simple coaching change could do, what a simple adjustment to tactics can do to a team. I think with McClellan at the helm of the bench and having such a great system that fits these older players that they have in Patrick Kane, but also the younger guys in Mo Sauter and Lucas Raymond, it's proven to be dominant so far. So if you can bring in an Elias Pettersson, one of the top centermen in the league, I think you go out and do it, but I think there's going to be a lot of names floating around here that Detroit are going to be linked to at the deadline.
It's funny you bring up Pettersson, though. I mean, $9 million in deadline cap space. If you look at the Vancouver Canucks, I mean, they can make it work as well. If you want to make a trade, right, you just free up $3 million worth of cap space, and you can make that happen if you want. But that's a very interesting one. I don't know if they need somebody that big. There's another name floating around right now in terms of Ryan Lindgren on the defense help. If we look up and down the lineup, right, this is a guy that they could add to their left side that I think would actually really help this team from the New York Rangers. So that's another name. But the entire lineup right now, I mean, on paper, coming into this season, you're thinking this is probably a playoff team, right? Like, they should probably make the playoffs. And I think now they're finally playing to their potential. And like you mentioned, just bringing in a new coach, a new voice, and a guy like McClellan whose system does fit certain teams. We've seen in the past it doesn't, right? And it's run its course and he gets fired, right? But there's certain teams where it does work. And we're seeing that right now with the Red Wings. And I want to highlight because, we've been talking about, potentially adding to this lineup. I think you need to get some of these guys some help. If you look at DeBrincat this year, 36 points in 42 games. He's having a very respectable season. Again, this is a goal scorer in the league. He's already up to 19 goals this season. When you look at Patrick Kane, 36 years old, just turned 36, 27 points in 37 games. Considering he had hip surgery, I think that's a great stat line for a guy his age. And if you go along, Lucas Raymond, I know you probably wanted to touch on this a bit, Casey, as well. Lucas Raymond having a crazy season, 46 points in 42 games. And considering the start to the season, this is a really good sign for the Detroit Red Wings and their fans. This guy's only going to be 23.
Yeah, the dude's 22 years old, almost 23, and is having such a dominant season. Like you said, 46 points, 17 goals, 29 assists. This is the player of the future for the Detroit Red Wings, and he's really getting into his groove right now, becoming hot at the right time when the Detroit Red Wings needed somebody to go out there, get a goal, make a play happen. That is what they got in Lucas Raymond. Obviously, they're getting it in other ways, too, with Dylan Larkin's speed. I mean, that guy can just create so much offense through the speed he has in his skates. And Patrick Kane, I mean, I got to talk on this because a lot of people said, oh, he's 30-odd years old getting hip surgery. He is never going to play again. He is never going to be the same Patrick Kane that he was in Chicago. And Patrick Kane really shoved it down their throat because he is having such a great season for this club, showing shades of his old self in Chicago, really taking control of this team. I know he's not the captain, but it kind of seems like he's leading the way a little bit for this team. I mean, like you're seeing the stats right here. I mean, 27 points in 37 games. Yes, you're probably saying, oh, that's not what we're used to seeing from Patrick Kane, but man, he's coming off a hip surgery. He's 36 years old. You don't expect anything else from this guy, but you're getting the advantage on the ice in return of points, but you're also getting it in the locker room where he can shadow a young guy like Lucas Raymond. And I think the morale in the locker room since acquiring Todd McClellan as head coach has just been sky high, and I think that's plays a big factor in why this team's being so successful is because they're having a good time on the ice. They're happy that they're winning, and I can't see them slowing down at all. And you ask me, are they going to make the playoffs? There's no doubt in my mind that Detroit will edge out a team like Montreal. I mean, I'm a Montreal fan myself, so even saying that hurts. But when you look at it right now, they're the better team.
It doesn't matter how you start the NHL season. It definitely helps, but it matters how you finish it. And we're seeing teams like the Boston Bruins in free fall right now. I think this is a team that's poised to make the playoffs. I actually think that they're on the upswing now. They're playing the best hockey that they have in this era, and they're going to make the playoffs. And Todd McClellan, you said it. He famously came in right away and said, you've played hockey your whole lives. Let's get back to doing it, right? Let's get back to the simple stuff, the basics, and play hockey. They're doing that. It's working, and I think that Red Wings fans are fired up about that. And it's a great point, too, that you made about Patrick Kane. This is a guy who's been there and done that with the Chicago Blackhawks. He's won 3 Stanley Cups. He knows how to win. He's taking the team and saying, all right, men, let's go now. We know what we need to do. Let's make the playoffs. Let's make an impact. And I think it's super exciting for Detroit because this is a team that's hungry for some playoff games. But let us know what you think about all this in the comments. It's a very interesting situation that's happening in Detroit right now. Obviously, a new coach can do a lot for your legs in Detroit. But let us know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything going on in the NHL.